coming to you from Folsom Field, where senior night will take place on Friday. It's kind of crazy. Senior night really crept up on us this year. The fact that Colorado has their last 2 games on the road, it's like all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's their last time running out behind Ralphie.
Yeah, even some of the players seem like taken back. I just talked to Justin Solis and said, will you be emotional your last time running out behind Ralphie? And he was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It'd be my last time behind Ralphie yet. So it snuck up on them too. I think it's kind of a special moment for them, and I think it'll be emotional for the players and for Mike McIntyre, who's kind of taking these players from boys to men.
Since Colorado's joined the Pac-12, it seems like year in and year out they battle UCLA, they battle Utah. They have really struggled against this USC Trojans football team. 195-80 is the combined score of the last 4 meetings between these two teams. It's even worse if you look at the first halves of those games. It's USC's averaging a 24-point lead going into halftime. So, I mean, every week you kind of think about the keys of the game, and it's such a cop-out to go. You got to get out to a fast start, but clearly in this game, that's a key.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a fast start for you. It just can't be a fast start for them. If you can just keep it low scoring early, you feel a lot better than, letting them go and get a spot at a 14-point lead. It seems like anytime you think of Colorado and USC, all you see is like some NFL caliber receiver running a deep post wide open and one of their NFL caliber quarterbacks hitting them in stride. You have to be able to stop that and just not allow them to get those easy scores early and just take that life right out of this Folsom Field.
We saw the best Pac-12 football team on this field last week, and a big part of that, I think, is the program stability. USC, though, top to bottom in terms of roster talent, I think it's the best team in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, their lines are just as talented as Stanford. Their skill positions are probably more talented than Stanford. Their quarterback's better than Stanford's, in my opinion. It's interesting to see them, the struggle the way they had earlier in the season. The fact that they're 3-3 kind of blows your mind. Or they were 3-3 at one point, kind of blows your mind with the talent that they have. It seems like USC's been in that kind of funk for a while now, where they have championship level talent but haven't been able to compete for them.
Yeah, and Cody Kessler is as efficient as a college quarterback I've ever seen. 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio throughout his career. Had 7 touchdown passes against the Buffaloes last year, 4 in the first quarter. I'm going to spotlight Kenneth Crawley this week. He's one of the few seniors that Colorado is going to kind of miss going forward. He has not had the senior season that a lot of us expected him to have, but he certainly has the ability to show up and play up to his ability. And you look on the other side, Juju Smith-Schuster, the best receiver in this conference, had a plate and a screw put into his hand last week. He's got a soft cast. He's not 100%. He still looked 100% last week against Arizona, but this is going to be a big week for him. He's got to really step up to the challenge. I don't know if you can shut down Juju Smith-Schuster, but at least make him fight for every yard that he gets out there.
Yeah, I'm going to actually stay in the secondary for that same reason, and I'm going to look at Tedrick Thompson, and I think you were looking for a player to kind of step up and have their best game of the season, and I think Tedrick Thompson needs to be there in case they don't. You need to have Tedrick back there playing a little bit of center field and helping them out with that coverage, and I think he's capable of doing that. You see him get the pick last week, and you've seen him. He had some success playing deep back there against UCLA. Should have had a pick that went through his hands. I think he's a guy that needs to help out with them on those deep balls, because that's really what USC wants to do against Colorado, especially the way they've had success in the past. They're just going to say, hey, let's go in there and just throw it deep.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at a key for Colorado's offense, it's going to be through the air, because I think this is a USC team that's very stout against the run. If you're going to make plays, it's going to be through the air. Sefo Lufau, even with a subpar game, it looks like he's going to break both the total offense record and the passing yards offense record. We kind of went through this with Cody Hawkins. Obviously doesn't signify that Sefo Lufau is the best quarterback in this program's history. Does it mean anything to you, that record?
Yeah, it means something. I think Sefo is largely underappreciated for the stuff that he's done here, and the record it does mean something. It's not one of those cases where I think he's breaking it just because they want to break it. In a case with Cody Hawkins, he has a whole other year to pad that record. So it says a lot about the success of this offense under Sefo Lufau, and it says a lot about how he's been able to work in this offense, despite maybe having some turnover issues and not necessarily being clutch down the stretch.
Now, Nelson Spruce has rewritten the receiving records here, but there's still one out there. He's trying to catch Scotty McKnight for the touchdown receptions. How great would that be for that to happen on senior night on a nationally televised game?
Yeah, he laughed at himself for costing himself one. He tripped right here behind us, and he would have been tied for the record. And then Sepho missed him later in the game on a screen pass on the goal line, which would have given him the record. So he should have had it last week, but it would be really great to see Nelson break that here at home on senior night, and having 2 touchdown catches would be a big thing for the Buffs too. So it's one of those things, just like any other time, you want to see a player get that at home, and it would be a nice way they can stop the game and really give Nelson his own personal ovation for everything that he's done here.
Mike McIntyre joked that he wanted 25 inches of snow for this game. We got some snowfall on Wednesday morning, but it's already melting, so he's not going to get that wish. It's going to be in the 30s, though. You get the adrenaline going. Is that even a factor for USC? Maybe for the first few minutes until they kind of get warmed up?
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a factor, and I talked about this earlier in the week. For it to be a factor, you have to play an extremely physical game. The reason these kids don't want to play in the cold is because it hurts to get hit in the cold. Everything hurts a little more when you're playing in the cold. So if you want to take advantage of that, well, you better go out there and hit them and make them really think about how cold it is. Because if they're just running out there freely and doing their thing on offense, it's not going to bother them. But as soon as you kind of stick, Juju Smith-Schuster's hand's going to be hurting a little more. You gotta smack that on the line and kind of use that to your advantage. It just being cold doesn't do anything, but if it's cold and you bring the punch to them, it can help you.
It was the Arizona game where you were kind of torn. Your head was saying one thing, your gut was saying another thing. I'm going to actually predict a really lopsided victory for USC because I'm going with my head. I'm going to say USC wins this game. I'll say 44-27. For some reason, though, and I don't know why, because you look at it on paper, there's no reason to feel this way. My gut says for some reason Colorado wins this football game, and I have no idea why.
Well, you're on both sides.
I'm really not trying to hedge my bet here.
Yeah, I think a part of that has something to do with all the lead up. It's all setting up perfectly. It's Friday night under the lights. It's Sim's last game. It's senior night. It's everything that you want. It's Ryan Koenigsberg's 100th consecutive game in Folsom Field. It's all building up perfectly for the Buffs to have that signature win, but for me, I can't go there with all the talent on that side of the ball, on the other side of the ball. So I'm going to have to pick a little bigger spread than you, and I say 42-17.
It is going to be Friday the 13th. Can they have
There's another thing.
A big ladder set out to where the USC players have to run under that or something funny?
That's a good idea. They've got plenty of those around here these days.
Get some black cats from the local shelter and bring them out and have them infest the locker room for USC.
Good plan.
Well, 100th game. What's your favorite memory through those 100 games?
That's asking a lot. But it's hard to go away from 62-36. That's kind of that's probably the biggest win in this program's history since I've been alive. And to be in the stadium for that was pretty special.
All right. Well, we'll see you out at senior night. Enjoy the game.